Okay, Adam Wakefield and the hizzy.
Is this a hizzy?
This is the hizzy.
Is that what they call one of these tent structures, a hizzy?
These tent structures that we're in we're calling them the hizzy. Like it's our hizzy for today.
I thought you were going to tell me my fortune.
Okay. Would you like me to tell you your fortune?
Please.
First off, I think you're going to end up having a hair sponsorship shampoo and conditioner thing with Target because you have this beautiful flowing hair. So I think you're going to start your own line of hair products.
Thank you. Hopefully I'll get an endorsement with a hair replacement program as well.
I don't think you're going to need a hair replacement endorsement. You've got so much hair going on.
Okay, cool. I'm going to leave the hat on if that's cool.
Is that one of the biggest fears men have is going bald? My husband talks about it all the time. He's like, I do not want to go bald.
Oh, dude, like, it's the number, because it's the only thing you can't control. Like, you can dye it, you know, you can do all sorts of, you can get your teeth whitened, you can do whatever you need to do, but if you lose your hair, you lose your hair.
So it actually is a legit thing. Is it like
totally.
how women feel about Botox?
Cellulite.
Cellulite?
Cellulite. Guys, it's balding. Girls, it's cellulite.
Yeah. It might be wrinkles with girls, though.
Yeah.
Guys don't care about wrinkles.
Not as well. The thing with cellulite is like it's one of those things you just can't fix. You know.
Right. All the creams in the world just can't make it go away.
Right.
If you got a cottage cheese ass, you got a cottage cheese ass.
Yeah, you can work it out. I mean, as much as you can, but it's just one of those things. Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about the Waffle House.
We're really going to the Waffle House.
We're going to the Waffle House.
Okay, I'll tell you the Waffle House story.
Okay, great.
So the Waffle House in Bellevue.
And you live in Nashville?
I do. Well,
Are you a new transplant?
I live in Kingston Springs now, but I've been in Waffle House.
You've been living in the Waffle House.
I've been in the Waffle House for about 3 years now. I've been in Nashville for about 3 years, but I moved out to Kingston Springs probably about 6 months ago.
Where's Kingston Springs?
It's about half hour west of here.
Okay.
By Fairview, Dixon County. Are you new to Nashville?
No, I live in Nashville for 10 years. I just don't really leave Nashville.
Well, let me tell you, there's some interesting folks out there.
There are?
You might.
Is this where the Waffle House comes into play?
Okay, yeah. So I used to live out in Fairview before I moved into Nashville, and then moved back out to Kingston Springs. And so one night we took an Uber to the Waffle House in Bellevue, and I was there. It was probably 3 in the morning. We'd all vibed quite heavily that night, and I'm sitting there and with my buddy, and he starts laughing, and I'm like, "What's so funny?" He's like, "Look behind you." So I look behind me, and there's a grease fire that just started up on the grill, and this is all 100% true.
Okay.
So I look back, and I'm like, "Oh my God, there's a grease fire," and so we just start laughing. We're like, "Oh, well, somebody's got to get the fire extinguisher. I'll put it out, you know." So the one guy who works there goes outside and smokes a cigarette. He's like, "Nope, not doing this. Don't get paid."
While there's a grease fire going on.
While there's a grease fire, he's like, "I'm out. I'm done."
Okay.
And the girl who was managing, instead of putting it out, she gets on the phone and starts calling her boss to ask what to do.
Okay.
Something tells me this was in the training manual, but she may have.
So Adam says, "Okay, I'm about to take this into my own hands."
Well, okay, so then there's one other guy who was there who, God bless his soul, was the only one who had the courage to try and put out the fire. Unfortunately, he had a bum arm, which was the one arm he needed to reach behind the register to get the fire extinguisher out, and he couldn't. He was over there trying to get it out, and he couldn't because it was like his, bum arm. So eventually, once the fire had spread far enough, I was like, all right, I got to do something. So I jump over the register, jump over the counter. I get back there, push the poor kid with the bum arm out of the way, and grab the fire extinguisher, and I'm screaming at my buddy the entire time to get his phone out to videotape it.
Because this would be great for social media.
Oh, hell yeah. And so I'm
all about the story, man.
So he didn't have any space on his phone. This is why always have space on your phone for photos, because you just never know when you're going to need it. So I'm sitting there with the fire extinguisher, putting this grease fire out. The whole wall's on fire. I'm putting the grease fire out, and I'm screaming at him like, "Hey, man, get your phone out. Start videotaping this. I'm saving the Waffle House." I'm sitting there putting it out. He never got any of it on video.
Dang, so it's only in our imaginations.
Only in our imaginations. And so I got done doing that, and I put the fire extinguisher down, and and I was like, and everybody's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And so the best part was at the end of it all, I tell the girl, I'm like, "Hey, you need to get back on the phone with your boss."
And tell me you need free Waffle House for life.
Right. Well, that one. Well, that's also another story. But so I was like, "Yeah, you need to get back on the phone with your boss." And she's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, because you need to close the Waffle House. They need, someone, and they need to get a hazmat team here."
Yeah.
And she's like, "We can't close." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, we're open 24/7." I was like,
Now talk about like sticking to your motto.
Hey, you know what? She knows what. Look,
She knows
we're
what they
open
stand for.
24/7. It was funny, and then the best part was at the end of it, she tried to charge me for my meal. She handed me my check.
No way.
I was like, "You got to be joking, right?" And she's like, I'm like, "I'm not paying this. You can."
No, if anything, you should get a free Waffle House for life.
You know what? Let's get this story out. Let's get this on the media.
I'm tagging Waffle House and everything.
I want free Waffle House.
You
for
don't
rest
just
of my
want
life.
it; you deserve it.
I am so nice to those people.
And you save their Waffle House.
I take pictures with them all the time, put it up on the Twitter and everything. Waffle House is my spot.
Okay, so speaking of taking pictures, let's talk about this because you had an instant rise to fame. You were on The Voice. Talk to me about that experience. Talk to me about everything. Talk to me about your team captains, all the judges. Just give me the line. Tell me what I need to know about The Voice experience.
What you need to know about The Voice experience.
Yeah.
Well, you spend most of your life in a hotel.
Okay.
Which is can be detrimental to your emotional health.
Why so?
Well, because you're secluded away from, everything.
Can you talk to people?
Yeah, you can talk to people and stuff, but like you can't tell anybody where you are. You're not allowed to like visit with anybody. And it makes sense. I mean, they need to do it that way because no one can know where you are. Because if everybody knew where all the contestants were, the paparazzi would come in, and they've had to move people before because the paparazzi found out where they were.
Totally.
So that's kind of the dynamic, and what was nice about my season is there were a lot of people from Nashville, and so
because you made it really far.
Yeah, I got into the finals or whatever.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, in all of the country to make it into the finals.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
That's
if you break it down number-wise, I was number 2 out of 44,000 people.
The fact that that's a big deal. So we're calling it runner-up.
It is, but the other thing is that I knew other people that were there that didn't even make it on the show that I thought were better singers than me. So
what do you think gets you on the show? Like how do if you said there's people that were great singers that didn't make it, what makes someone on the show?
There's a lot of other factors besides talent. I mean, you got to think about it. It's a TV show, right? So it's it's not just about finding the most talented people. It's about finding the best stories. It's about filling demographics. And it's all you can't blame them for it. It's a TV show. You got to run it smart. And there's a reason why The Voice is the best. Does the best out of all the singing shows.
Tell me, why do you think? What was your dynamic that they loved? Obviously, you're amazing, but why do you think they picked you?
Well, I mean, you got to think about it.
I'm thinking.
White dude living in Nashville doing country music. That's a big demographic. You got to have somebody doing that. And it just made sense. I actually auditioned doing kind of as a soul singer the first couple times that I did it. Was going to go that route, and it never really stuck. And honestly, I don't think I had the right story. I didn't, it just didn't make sense. But when I went in and did my last audition, I was like, all right, this is definitely a demographic they have to fill. One of the, some dude from Nashville singing country music, lives here, and I had a good story as far as I feel like.
Tell me your story.
Well, I didn't move to Nashville. Most people on the show, they're like, I just want to be on stage singing in front of millions of people. That's everybody's story. Mine wasn't really so much that. Mine was more like, I'd been in a band for a long time, and we'd been pushing really hard, and gotten to the point where I was just banging my head against the wall, living where I was living, trying to make it in Baltimore, and so on. I moved here. I didn't move here to start a career as an artist. I moved here to be a musician and to be a songwriter, and that was really my end goal. And everything changed once I started doing the show, and honestly started playing some of the songs that I've been writing that I thought for other people. Started doing them myself with my own band and doing my own take on those songs.
So what changed for you?
You know what? I think it was I remember the day I went out. I went out and did The Voice and everything, and I came back after. After we filmed Knockouts and all that stuff, and I knew that I was.
Because you got runner-up of which season?
10.
Season 10, okay.
Yeah, so.
That's a big deal.
You keep saying this.
Well, it is. It's a big deal.
I'm start believing it soon here.
I just think to go on a talent show and get that far and have America love you, I mean, that to me says a lot. So it is a big deal.
Well, I try to be personable as well as talented. But yeah, so I remember coming back and. Getting together with some of my favorite musicians in town, and kind of building up the dream team of a band that I would, honestly, it was a band I was going to put together for Barrett Baber, who is from season 9, who's a good buddy of mine. His manager had called me and said, hey man, we're gonna put a band together. I know lots of guys in town. You want to put a band together for me? And I was like, I'd love to, but I can't I can't be the music director because I have to go out and do the voice for this season. So it was kind of funny how that all went down. But I put that band together, and we got together and did rehearsals, and I was like, there's a chance that this might, I might have some legs as an artist once this whole thing gets done if I make it far enough.
And that was before you'd even really auditioned.
Well, no, it was in the middle. It was right after.
Okay, so you knew you were on the show.
I knew I was on the show. I knew I'd made it through battles and through knockouts at this point.
Okay, so you knew you had some steam.
Yet.
Okay.
And so I was like, I just want to see like if it gets to the point, because once I go back out there, that's when everything starts, and I don't have a chance to, and if I end up getting on a label or, honestly, if I end up winning the show, I don't know if I'm going to have a chance to get in a rehearsal space with the band I want to play the songs I want.
So you wanted to go ahead and be ready.
Right. I wanted to have my sound already. So
Smart.
So if a label, A&R people were like, hey, we think you should do this, I could be like, no, I want to do this. It sounds like this. Check it out.
You were ready.
Yeah. And so after I got done doing that with the rehearsals, and I listened back to the songs, I was just like, man, this is like really great stuff. It's not like too left of center to not be on mainstream country radio, but I feel like it's going to be refreshing, especially kind of the kind of the format that's going on right now. So I just felt like, I owed it to myself and honestly to kind of the music industry to try and push these kind of songs.
So what's happened in your life after The Voice? I always want to know that question.
Well, I opened a painting company and sunk all my TV. No, I didn't. I came back to town and kind of did what everybody else does when they get off the show. They try and run with the momentum that they get from the show. I ended up, all the money that I made from the show and from the shows that I'd booked because of the show, I ended up just sinking right back into my brand.
You got to invest in yourself.
Into my PR side, into my all that stuff. And because it's hard, you lose momentum after being on a show. One day you're in front of 10 million people, the next day you're sitting there on your Facebook, with no way to reach out to all these people.
Is that a big letdown? Like, or not a letdown? It's like like you go into this huge thing and all of a sudden it's from one day to the next, like this huge adrenaline to like nothing overnight, right?
Well, it is and it isn't. I mean, for different people, I was lucky when I got done with the show. A show like that can showcase you as different things, and there are people that showed up on the show as just a voice, and there's people that showed up on the show as artists,
right.
And I always say, like, and tried to express to the contestants on the show, like, if you show up to this show just being a singer and you've never written a song before, you never really played an instrument before, you're going to leave just being a singer. You're not going
right.
to leave here being an artist. So,
right.
If you haven't been writing, start writing right now. You know? And so what was nice is that on the show, kind of showcased me, especially because I made it as far as I did, showcased me as an artist and not just as a singer. So when I got done, I feel like, I kind of had more doors open for me, easier because of that. So, I wasn't bummed out when I got done. I had a lot of people that wanted to meet with me and talk to me. And, my stuff is kind of left of center of what's going on right now. And so I think, for one reason or another, I got a lot of no's when I got done. And it was frustrating, and especially, that kind of combined with the fact that I pretty much was broke by November because I'd spent all the money that I'd had all the money that I'd made. I could have saved all that money and, kind of just gone back to being a musician, but I dumped it all back into
Can you
my
make
brand.
a lot of money on The Voice?
Yeah, you can make good money being on episodes,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you per episode, but I mean, I made some good. I mean, I had more money in my bank account once I got done with that show than I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
Well,
and then about 2 months
Voice.
laid I'd had less money in my bank account than I'd had in the last 2
But
years.
you got to invest in yourself. I'm all about
Yeah,
that
well,
too.
you know what? It was one of those things where, me and my manager were just like, let's either do this or let's not. I'm like, all right, cool. So, I'm not sure if it was the right advice at the time, but thankfully everything worked out, and, I ended up having somebody come on board as one of my real good friends as kind of an investor and kind of reinvigorate the whole thing with some dollars.
Yeah, you got to have that money train.
And so everything kind of worked out. But yeah, it was one of those things where, and that's what's so tough for all the contestants on the show is they get done and it's like, there's no easy way to capitalize on, on your experience on the show and your exposure because, I mean, you got to think about it. There's so many contestants that come off of that show. I mean, you got 50 to 60 contestants that have been on the show 2 seasons a year. That's it's about 100 people every year that are trying to make it in the music business that have been on a show in front of millions of people that end up going nowhere. You know, and everybody thinks, oh shoot, you were on The Voice, you made it onto Team Adam, you've got a great career for yourself ahead of you. But it's not like that. I mean, and I don't think it's because of the shows. It's not the show's fault. It's not the label's fault. It's not the industry's fault. It's just a mere numbers game.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. What's Adam like?
Adam Levine?
Yeah.
He's a cool cookie, man.
He is? He seems like a cool cookie.
He is. He's one of those guys, too, like, and I'm one of those, like, judgmental kind of people, like, oh, he's from L.A. Look at his haircut. Look at his jeans. Like, oh, that guy's going to be, like, super lame, like L.A. He was really cool, man. He was such a, like, down-to-earth, cool dude.
Did he give you some good advice?
No, he wasn't really in that capacity to me. Honestly, you know what? He kind of reminded me a lot of me as far as, like, just kind of, like, not bitter, but just kind of, like, very, very candid about stuff and really honest about stuff. We had a lot of really good, honest conversations about the show and about what it does for people and
So he actually,
what
like,
to take away
invested
from it.
and spent time with you.
Yeah, I talked to him I wasn't on his team, but, like, whenever, like, we're off time. I remember me and him had a good conversation the night that I lost. We were standing there watching Allison win, and me and him were talking about, kind of the future for me after that. And it was really encouraging talking to him about that stuff. He's just such a good dude. And
what about Blake? I love Blake.
Blake's hilarious.
I kind of have a little bit of a crush on Blake.
Oh, yeah? Well,
how can you not, right?
Yeah, he's a little short for me, but...
You're lying.
Yeah, no, he's the cool dude, man. Me and him, I feel like we got along real well, and it was just nice working with him because he's just one of those dudes that, like, L.A. just washes off of him, you know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean?
Like, the whole, like, people and their personas and their agendas and their, and everybody trying to, like, everybody's so worried about their, just, like, making it, being a star and all that kind of, like, he just doesn't care.
He doesn't, does he? He really doesn't.
He doesn't. I know he obviously he loves it because he does a show every year.
Yeah.
And but the thing is for him is he loves being in that position so he can kind of make light of it,
Yes. What kind of advice did he give you that you took with you?
He told me that I should always drink vodka on TV because it looks like water.
Did he give you any musical advice?
No.
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
Was he a great coach?
He was actually a really good coach, and I always try and think of different things to say when I get that question because I've gotten it maybe a couple times.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
But kind of one thing I can think of is that I like to do, for me when I do arrangements of songs, and honestly, whenever I'm stuck into any format where I'm told I have to do something, I always instantly want to, like...
Rebel,
yeah. And so for me, whenever I get, like, a song or something, I instantly want to change everything about it and do something completely different and, like, do something off the wall. And for me, I'm just always about shock value, And so he was really good at reeling me in and saying, hey, I like this idea, but you're crazy. So let's go, let's do this and this and this that I think people really like, but we need to keep these elements of the song that are really important that people can latch on to. So he was really good at kind of reining me in and keeping me, kind of keeping me focused on, okay, well, people are actually going to be listening to the song and trying to, connect with it. So this is what you got to do.
I love it. Yeah. Okay, so let's wrap up with Leave Your Light. I like to ask inspiration. Give me some inspiration that you want to share with people.
Inspiration?
Yep. How you've been inspired or how you would like to inspire people.
I don't know. I think for me in my personal experience, I think it's just, kind of the best advice I could give is to people moving to Nashville and people wanting to do what I'm doing. I guess the best piece of advice would be I pushed really hard to make it in the industry and to be in a band and tour and to get, and be on a record label and everything. And I pushed really hard for about 10 years. And honestly got bitter about things and mad and couldn't understand why nobody had invested in me and didn't, felt like people couldn't see me for the talent, for what I could do and how hard I'd worked, and I got a chip on my shoulder. And then I moved to Nashville and I met so many people that were just as talented as me that hadn't gone anywhere, and they had such a better attitude about it. And so when I got here, I was like, you know what? I got here and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be a musician. I'm going to write songs, and I'm just going to let music make me happy. Just invest in my happiness side and not be
That's
worried
really
about
profound.
how far I'm going to go and whether people are recognizing whether I'm good or not. You know what? I'm just going to go make my music, and if people dig it, they can stick around. If they don't, I don't care.
Was that freeing?
Well, it was, and like when I moved here, I'd saved up some money, and I took 6 months. I moved out onto a farm, and I just practiced guitar and just got back to just enjoying music again and stopped worrying about whether it was getting me anywhere. And that's right when everything started to fall into place.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, it's just life.
Yeah.
Life kicks you in the ass every day. So, and that was for me. That was where I was like, when you stop trying to take control of life and you just and you instead, it's kind of like instead of like trying to force life in a certain direction, if you just let it, just kind of follow the signs and look at it as a road trip. And try and be happy. I feel like that's when the successes start coming, and that's when things organically become, start making you happier and start pushing you in the directions you need. I mean, I never knew I was going to be a country singer. I never knew I was going to be on, try and push stuff to country radio. And I never knew that this was the format that I wanted to write I never thought that country radio would be the format where I would be able to be myself and do so many different eclectic things. And after learning more about it.
But it's really opened up, the format has.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you think about people, you got Chris Stapleton, you got Sam Hunt, you got Thomas Rhett, you got, Maren Morris, all these people doing so many different things. It finally, organically through working with people in town and writing and just kind of trying to, just, fit in and work with talented people, I eventually found the right route for me and Nashville found it for me. I didn't push myself, and that's kind of how that all worked.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that inspiration, too.
Hopefully that's inspirational to someone. I'm sure my mom is going to love it.
Adam, thank you so much for joining me. And where can we find
you.
all your information to check you out on the tour, on music?
Just check out AdamWakefieldMusic.com. You can go on Facebook. I also have a really awesome profile on FarmersOnly.com. You can find me on there too.
FarmersOnly.com.
Oh, 3 chairs, y'all. I don't know if you could see them. They all just turned.
I actually know the girl who wrote that theme song.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
She must be making bank on
Allison
that.
Baker. I don't know if she is, actually.
Really?
Yeah, Allison and Dave Baker.
That's a good placement. I would think you'd be making some good money on that. They play it a lot.
Everybody needs love.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
Even cows.
Yes.
Wait,
right.
what? No, that's not what I meant.
Adam! Thank you for joining me.
No problem.
Okay, bye, Adam Wakefield.